Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you 7 different types of flying machines. Let's start with the basics. This is an observer. It's the first most important block to understand. An observer looks like this, with a little face on the front. It's got a red dot on the back and an arrow indicating direction. The face shows which way it's looking. The face also detects block updates, for example pushing a button, or breaking and placing blocks. Any update will cause the back to give off a redstone signal. It can even detect if the observer itself is moved. As you can see, when I move it with the piston, the redstone dust is triggered. Next up, the sticky piston. The sticky piston is a pretty basic block. I'm sure most of you know. It's just a basic piston, but with a little bit of slime on the front to make it stick to the blocks that it pushes and pulls. When activated, the sticky piston will push or pull a block. However, most people don't know that if given a one-tick pulse, like with an observer, a sticky piston will actually spit out the block and leave it where it was, before then retracting it back when given another one-tick pulse. Last but not least are slime blocks and honey blocks. These blocks are important because they can stick to other blocks. These are both sticky blocks. They will bring another block that is adjacent to them with them when pushed by a sticky piston or a regular piston. However, the important part to know is that slime blocks and honey blocks work independently from each other. They don't stick to each other, which allows them to move side by side without sticking. Simple horizontal flying machine. First flying machine I'm going to show you is a basic horizontal flying machine. It uses an observer and a sticky piston facing into 2 sticky blocks, and then on the other side, the same thing in reverse. So the 2 sticky blocks will pull and push the other set of observers and pistons, allowing the whole thing to move. You can see it works, it flies horizontally across and does the same thing back. Now if I quickly freeze the tick updates, I'll activate the flying machine, and I'll step through each ticket one by one. First, the observer detects the block update, causing the piston to move the other side of the flying machine. That observer detects the movement and pushes the sticky piston, which then retracts the other set of observers and pistons. This cycle repeats indefinitely, allowing the machine to fly infinite lengths until stopped by an immovable object. Simple vertical flying machine. The second flying machine is a simple vertical flying machine, which is essentially just a horizontal flying machine, but rotated 90 degrees to be pointed upwards, allowing it to fly vertically. I'm also using this as a demo to show that the movement of pistons in front of an observer counts as a block update, allowing you to trigger flying machines in this way. It works the exact same way as the simple horizontal flying machine, but it's just turned to move up and down. Stackable horizontal flying machine. This flying machine is made up of 2 horizontal flying machines turned on their side, stacked next to each other. By making use of slime and honey blocks alternating, you can have 2 flying machines directly next to each other. As you can see, it's just the simple horizontal flying machine, but with this column put there. As you can see, as long as both observers are activated at once, it moves as a singular unit. You have to use both slime and honey blocks alternating, rather than using the same sticky block for both, to avoid the piston push limit. As you can see, a singular piston can only push up to 12 blocks. 13 is too many. So, if you were to stack several next to each other, you could easily exceed the piston push limit. So you have to use alternating honey and slime blocks. Compact horizontal flying machine. This flying machine is made to be in a smaller space. As you can see, this design is 2 blocks by 2 blocks by 2 blocks. The observers are also made to be facing outwards to allow for different triggering, as well as being stackable if you mirror the design. compact vertical flying machine. The fifth flying machine I'll show you today is a compact vertical flying machine. This machine is designed the same way as the horizontal flying machine is. However, it's kind of turned and rotated to work vertically. You can see the two observers are stacked on top of each other, both facing outwards, which allows for, once again, different signaling strategies. It uses slime blocks and honey blocks, which are necessary because otherwise the piston would push itself in a sticky loop. You can see it works just the same as the horizontal one, but it moves vertically, and it must be triggered from the sides. This design is great because you can stick 4 honey blocks on the top, and possibly more blocks on top of that if you would like, to make a vertical elevator that the player can stand on and move. You just have to make sure that you put your trigger in the right spot, which I did not do here. You have to make sure you make a new piston or other form of trigger to allow it to travel downward again. 3x3 vertical elevator. This design uses 3 flying machines stacked side by side. It's got a downward facing observer to trigger the motion of the elevator, and a piston on top of that, which is pushing an L shape of sticky blocks. On top of that is the elevator's floor blocks, and underneath is an observer facing outwards that can be triggered, pointing into a piston facing down to move the bottom section of the machine. This design is great because you can use actual floor blocks for your elevator to make it look nice. You can also stack immovable blocks around the edges to close in the elevator, making it really great for builds that have 2 floors. Thank you all for watching. I hope you can use one of these flying machine designs. Feel free to experiment with them. There's so many different kinds of flying machines, way more than the 6 that I showed you in this video. Some of these I even figured out myself before finding the designs online. The names are also not concrete. It's hard to name something in Redstone because someone will always have a different name for it. If you want to see a different Redstone tutorial, or you don't understand a certain mechanic, let me know and I'll try to make a tutorial for it in the future.